Broadway Babies. I'm Emily.
I'm Cody.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jeff.
And we're here to talk about, well, two things that you wouldn't imagine go together. Two things that really came of age in the 1970s. We're at their peak, their zenith, the height of their art form, and somehow they have been mashed together in one album. Do you know what that is, gentlemen?
The Scorpions' Love at First Sting, 1984.
I don't know what that is.
The musical styles are musical theater and disco, from what I understand.
Not just musical theater and disco, Stephen Sondheim and disco.
Oh, well, he was like king of the 70s, wasn't he?
Yeah, Stephen Sondheim is the one musical theater style where you don't really need to dance. You don't really drive the story on big dance numbers.
Thank God.
It's all a lot of introspective thinking, a lot of middle-aged women drinking.
It's not a lot of schlocky musical theater.
No
it's
kick lines.
It's a lot of Upper West Side, too, or Upper East Side, even.
Very Upper East Side.
bougie.
Very, I have to call my analyst. Well, Stephen Sondheim has been a musical theater composer since, well, his first big gig would have been West Side Story. In 1957, and he worked consistently through the 60s, but in the 70s, that's when he hit his peak with How Prince and had his big stream of musical hits like Company, A Little Night Music, Sweeney Todd, and then in the 80s, he would reach a different level. If you can't tell, I'm a big Sondheim fan. I might be the biggest Sondheim fan.
It's possible.
I wonder.
I don't know. I
that,
have
Emily?
some of my collection here. You know about Sondheim as well, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, been
Okay.
a Sondheim fan for my entire life.
Well, he's kind of a genre unto himself as far as musical theater writing goes. There's nobody like him.
He writes musical theater songs that work for the character and for the story. If a belty moment or something like that happens, it's because it's warranted. He just doesn't write skrelty high Fs or anything like that. You gotta earn them if they happen. So where does disco come in here?
Yeah,
It's a good
got
question.
me.
Disco! Well, believe it or not, there were quite a few musical theater artists in the 70s who jumped on the disco train.
Yeah.
Ethel Merman had a disco album.
What?
It's real.
Wow.
And it's
I had no
fantastic.
idea.
Come on in here, come on in here, Alexander's ragtime band.
So there is an album that came out around when the pandemic started, maybe like a week after we were in lockdown in March of 2020. And that album was called Losing My Mind, a Sondheim Disco Fever Dream.
Wow, what a title.
I know.
I kind of have been mainlining this album since it came out. It's everything I like. I love Sondheim, but I also like upbeat, happy music, and I'm really old, and pop music all sounds mumbly and sad to me all the time. So anytime I can have some upbeat pop music when I'm dancing alone in my house, I'm all about it. What is your experience, guys, with Losing My Mind, a Sondheim Disco Fever Dream?
I have not heard any of it yet. Emily told me about this basically when you got it, and as you were listening to it and telling me how good it was, but I just have not gotten down to listening to it at all yet.
Yeah, and I remember when you first told me the title, all I could think of was Ryan Scott Oliver's Out of My Head.
Wait, when I said this famous song from Follies,
When
you
you
thought
said
of...
Losing My Mind, I was thinking of a show. I'm thinking Out of My
No,
Head.
but that's
my first
amazing.
thought.
That's
my first
amazing.
thought.
Shout out to you, Ryan.
Yeah,
Jeff
there you
thinks
go.
of you first when Losing My Mind is mentioned. Out of my head, Losing My Mind.
I don't have any experience with his 70s shows, really, except for when you and I did Side by Side by Sondheim, which is one of the reviews.
Yeah, but
also-
you know Sweeney Todd.
But Sweeney, I consider late 70s, early 80s. I consider
was
that
1979.
a little bit later.
Jeff, what is your experience with Sondheim? We're all actors here and singers. So Jeff, what are your Sondheim musicals?
So I did West Side Story, Into the Woods, Side by Sondheim, and Assassins. And what I noticed most about Assassins that was so insane for me, because I was singing the Balladeer, in one song, in one page, there would be 15 different time signatures. Unbelievable.
That's pretty common in
So
Sondheim.
yeah, and his
That's
stuff
very
his
true.
stuff so often is almost mathematic. Like maybe you have to be a genius to understand
It's
this. You
always
certainly
very
have to be a
intricate.
genius to
Yeah.
write it.
Yeah.
So, but he's always been a writer unto himself to me. He's a one of a kind.
And who did you play in those shows?
So I was Tony in West Side when I was young enough to do that, and the same with Jack in Into the Woods.
The good thing about Sondheim is that if you play a part when you're young, as you age, there's probably a role that's still there for
Yeah.
you. Like a Little Night
Totally,
Music,
yeah.
I could play every single age of woman if I wanted to. So Cody, do you have any experience doing any Sondheim?
You know, I don't. I've never actually been in a Sondheim show. Unfortunately, the main theater company that I was doing professional shows with during, a while ago, were doing like random stuff like Meet Me in St. Louis and White Christmas and whatnot. So I never got the chance. But I did do with Play Club when we did readings. There were a few times that I was involved in those readings, and I'm pretty sure I was involved with Assassins and Company.
Yeah, and I've done probably the most here. I was Mary in Merrily We Roll Along right after college with Finn Whitrock. Name drop. Ooh, there he is. I played Squeaky Fromm in Assassins. And that, to this day, is one of my top 10 theatrical experiences. I just love doing that show. Side note, Cody and I have sung Unworthy of Your Love before because it's a love duet where the characters aren't in love with each other. So it's really hard when you have a brother-sister team who want to sing duets and everything's like a romantic duet. So we can sing a romantic duet because it's not about each other.
Exactly.
So.
And that's a great song, too.
It's a great song.
I love that song.
Oh, we'll get into it. And then I was Petra in A Little Night Music. And I did Side by Side by Sondheim with Jeff.
Yes.
And that was a lot of fun. We got to sing a whole bunch of stuff. We got to sing You Must Meet My Wife together.
She makes me feel I'm what
A very old man.
Yes, no, but
I must meet your Gertrude.
my ass.
Sorry, Anne.
Yeah.
You got to do Could I Leave You
Great.
from Follies, which is
Unbelievable
amazing.
song.
It's
Yeah.
not usually done by a man. And I did I'm Still Here from Follies, and that was a lot of fun. And then I've done readings like Cody and Jeff have with our group Play Club West. I was the baker's wife in Into the Woods. I was Amy and Company. I've done a reading of Gypsy that was with this group called the Confidential Theater Project. And I was June, which I would never be, ever, in real life. So that was a lot of fun. Very fun to play June. So, yeah, and Cody and I have been mainlining Sondheim albums since we were kids. You know, my mom was a big Sondheim fan, too. And
Yeah, our first favorite was Into the Woods.
Yeah.
Watching the, what was it, a PBS
the PBS
special?
Pro
or whatever,
Shot, yeah.
With Chip Zien and
Yeah.
Bernadette Peters and
Yeah.
all the...
Oh, that's
So
that
we
was a
know
good
our
recording, yeah.
Sondheim here. So this album was put together by two guys named Joshua Hink and Scott Wasserman. And this started as a cabaret, I believe, in 2018 in New York. So, you know, I haven't seen it. And then they decided to make an album, a fully produced album about it. It's pretty great. They have a lot of Broadway performers. I don't recognize a lot of the names. The only name that I do know is Allison Luff. And I know her because she did a mostly musicals that I was in. But I think I might have seen her in Matilda too. I saw Matilda a few years ago and I know she was in that.
Yeah, the only person on this list that I recognize is Chip Zien.
Yeah. Well, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna listen to it and we're gonna react, and it's gonna be mostly these guys reacting. There are a few medleys that incorporate a lot of different themes from a bunch of different shows. So I want to see as we listen if either of you guys can pinpoint them.
Okay.
You think you can do it?
I hope so.
I give myself 73% chance.
So we are going to start with the first song, which is called Opening, parentheses, Doors. Do we know what song that is?
Yes.
Opening Doors?
Company.
No.
What? I'm 0 for 1? We're opening doors.
That's not from Company.
It's from Merrily We Roll Along.
Merrily We Roll
Yeah,
Along.
that's right.
So it's the opening, but in parentheses it says doors. All right?
The sun comes up. I think about you.
Do you know what this is?
I want you so. It's like I'm losing my mind.
So what show is this from?
Follies.
Follies.
What's this?
This is Company.
Yeah.
This is definitely Company.
And I can counterpoint it with.
No counterpoints. Yeah, I have a feeling they're gonna get really creative.
I mean, it's very Sondheim.
It's like I'm losing my mind.
Once upon a time.
Oh, no way!
Once upon a time.
What the?
Oh my god.
Once
Okay,
upon
what's
a
that?
Oh, Son in the Barbara George.
Once
Wow, what a mashup.
Once upon a time.
I was not expecting sampling for some reason.
I was not either.
1, the cow as white as milk. 2, the cape
Are you
as
kidding
red
me?
as blood.
Okay.
Sweetie.
That's Sweeney Whistle. And
that
now,
5,
finish
6?
the one
Got
act.
an audition.
I started the story.
This is Merrily.
Merrily.
I'm doing a Playboy.
I'm doing a rewrite.
My parents are
I
coming.
saw my fair lady.
I rewrote the rewrite. I sort of enjoyed it.
I'm meeting an agent.
We'll all get together on Sunday. We're opening doors. Sing, here we are. We're filling up days on time. The only thing left is when we know we should count to 10. We have enough time. We have enough time.
Wow, what an opening song.
Okay, so what I do know is that the Once Upon a Time, that's Chip Zien.
Oh, okay.
See, so he's like kind of switching roles there.
I think they just like got him to
Yeah.
say it, and then they just sampled it.
I mean, it sounds like he's doing an impression of the old man from the
Yeah.
production that he was in.
Tom Aldridge.
It's like what you said, you just
Well,
aged
remember
into the
when we
characters.
saw that Into the Woods reunion and Chip Zien did
Yeah.
No More, but he did it with himself because Tom Aldridge just died. So he had full on like an empty stool and then like would go to the spot and like.
Yeah.
So he's older now, so it makes sense.
I really
What'd
was
you
not
think?
expecting, like I said while we were listening, I was not expecting sampling.
Well, I didn't. I guess I wasn't even expecting Into the
Well,
Woods
Once
because
Upon a
Into the
Time.
Woods is kind of the outlier there. It's like, to me, Sondheim's 70s shows kind of have a similar vibe, and then you pop Into the Woods, and it's like,
Sunday was in there too, which is his other 80s show.
Yeah,
and
so-
Merrily is
true.
an 80s show.
Well, it's just the way
I
that
kind of lumped that in with the other ones, the 70s ones, just for me. But once Into the Woods came through, I was just a bit. It's such a clash.
Yeah, they had, so the beginning part was Losing My Mind, and then they started the Bobbies from Company, and then it was the Once
Bobby
Upon a
Booty
Time,
Rowdy.
then they did Sunday,
Yeah.
and they had stuff from Sweeney in there.
Really, other than the whistle, what do they have from Sweeney?
Attend the Tale. They did that in there.
The interesting thing with the way they orchestrated all of that, like layering all of the different parts, like it didn't matter that Sweeney and Sunday aren't like disco feeling shows.
Yeah, they're not.
Because
No.
when you layer them all the way that they did,
Yeah.
it created disco chords and everything.
Yeah.
And, like, that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting how they found these little parts of these different songs from very different shows and made them work together.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is called There Are Giants Somewhere. So if you had to speculate, what do you think these are the songs that are matched
This
up
would
here?
be Giants in the Sky and Can't Be Somewhere That's Green.
No, it's just say what it
Can't Be
is.
Somewhere Out There.
just somewhere.
There are giants somewhere.
Somewhere. From West Side Story,
Yeah.
a man who's been in West Side Story.
Oh. So it's gonna be
There's
somewhere
a
mixed up with.
place for us.
Oh, I remember it.
Yeah.
I
Oh, do
love
you?
that song. I love that song.
All right.
Stop it. The funky bass. Look at that.
I can take you away, take you far, far away out of
That's the
here.
intro that no one ever does.
Far, far away
From
till the
somewhere.
walls and the
No, I know,
streets
yeah.
disappear.
Oh.
Somewhere there. And for me. Giants.
He's the king at switching up.
What does that remind you of? Giants. Do the hustle.
Oh, okay.
What the? Oh my god. It's like the Love Boat.
Yes. It totally sounds like a Love Boat.
Yeah.
When you're way
Oh.
you look below.
It's almost like a duet love song.
Yeah.
Now.
They're both just amazing melodies too.
Yeah.
It's very surprising that they are complementary, though.
It's so. Oh. I love it. Wow. This is the king of unexpected mashups. Just make sure she didn't rush.
Oh, okay.
Got a little hello little girl in there,
ju-
yeah.
Just throw that in.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Okay, a little cliffhanger ending.
What
Okay.
the-
Well, so it's gonna segue into the next one.
It
but,
seems like it's that kind of disco-y album where it plays all the way through, right?
Oh yeah, it's meant.
Oh,
It's totally meant to be listened to. Like
You
yeah.
gotta get the LP. You actually play the record, you know?
Yeah, and then it'll just keep on going.
So what did you guys think of that one?
Oh man, so cool. I'm a big fan of both of those songs, and one of the things I love about Sondheim is when it comes to interval, like ascension or descension, like he always surprises me.
Yeah.
It's not the expected ascension or descension for me, and he uses that dissonance, and both of those songs combined there was tons of dissonance, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Wow.
And Sondheim is known, like you said, for having those weird intervals. Where you wouldn't really expect them sometimes.
Not at all.
He loves using like fourths and sixths and like accidentals like crazy and like.
And
giving
then
a
you
hard
add in the
time.
time signature, fucking switches up this guy.
And
He's a
it's
monster.
neat. And it's neat to add in kind of the patteriness of their Giants in the Sky with the long. There's a place for
True.
us.
And they drew it out so
somewhere.
the tempo is even slower than regular Giants in the Sky, so it took a real.
Yeah.
You had to be careful not to rush.
Yeah, it's a little more
Yeah.
metered than them.
Yeah. So did you hear the hustle stuff?
Yeah.
Giants. Yeah. I love when you hear the certain disco influences in these songs. It's really.
I wonder if
fun.
they had a moment like where they, like you said, it started as a cabaret, so obviously it's like really
Yeah.
just people throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks. But like maybe they had an idea to do Sondheim mixed with disco songs, and eventually were like, let's just do all Sondheim and make it disco-y instead of mixing it with disco songs that we know.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that just be like a revelation, like, holy shit, we really got to work hard and make sure we get
Yeah,
it.
it's
And they
taking
just
what's
kept
already
the
there and
motifs.
just kind of making it like more poppy. Okay, so this next one, it has a nice hyphenate title. It's a lot of stuff going on. So it's Hello Pretty Lady / Lovely Moments by the Sea. So just looking at the title, what do you think is incorporated in that?
I'm gonna guess Pretty Women maybe and By the Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is a song called Pretty Lady
Right, but
From
oh,
Pacific
from
Overtures.
sorry, from Pacific Overtures.
Oh
you're right.
boy, I don't know that one.
and Lovely from Forum.
Right.
Moments Moments might be Moments in the Woods.
Okay.
This is just a moment in the woods.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is a lot.
And then By
yeah.
the Sea from Sweet and Tide.
By the Sea from Sweet
And
Tide.
as Pretty Lady is the one from Pacific Overtures.
Pretty lady in
Yes.
your pretty
So they're
garden,
like-
won't you stay?
They're
So
basically referencing 5 songs in this title.
Is the Hello from Hello Little Girl?
Yeah.
I think so.
bet it
I
is.
guess we're gonna
Because, I mean,
find out.
It's sort of led in from the last song.
That's
so
kind
that
of cool
makes
too.
sense.
That's a play on words. I mean, they're synonymous.
Hello, Pretty Lady, Lovely Moments.
All right, here we go.
It's like hard to tell where it's going at the beginning of the song each time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
wait, hold on.
Here comes your electric guitar, baby.
Look at that flesh,
Oh,
pink and plump. Hello, little girl.
this is so killer. Oh, God, it's delicious, man. They're killing
It's a
it.
sick drum.
This is
riff
so
going on
dope.
too right now.
It's cool to hear these songs reimagined like this.
Yeah. He almost sounds like bootleg.
Yeah,
Or like
big band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Harry Connick or
Mel
something.
Torme or
Oh,
something.
yeah. Ah, there it is. So this was.
Well, don't go away. They've been playing it since it started.
I didn't know.
You know this.
Yeah, where did that come from?
There's so much in this.
This song is a killer song.
Yeah.
So croony it.
Yeah.
Now I want to sing this song like as a croon version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta add it to the list.
Yeah.
See, this is Pretty Lady.
It's like a wall of sound coming at you.
That's disco.
Yeah, it's disco.
Totally.
I love the bass. That's my favorite. Like those bass licks. Oh.
That's the same.
No,
Nice.
just the
Yeah.
It's so cool because those are the actual notes, but against the backing track, it makes them dissonant. Like,
Ooh.
what a cool way to use that.
Just a moment in the woods.
Okay.
And now apparently we have some. Okay, what does this remind you of?
Madonna.
Oh.
This sounds just like.
What do you expect to happen right here?
And you can dance.
Woo!
Yeah.
Ah,
Banana.
somebody.
That's not Madonna.
It's Whitney.
Whitney.
Oh
sorry.
yeah. Even the licks that she was doing are very kind of like Whitney.
Yeah.
That's nice, man. Like what the? So unpleasant.
Yeah. Isn't that great? Her flip. No.
Yeah. It's very impressive.
Oh, Mr. Ty.
Yeah.
There's something really fun about these really dramatic songs out of context.
Yeah.
She's like still saying the character name, but it's not has nothing to do with the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being like Cinderella's prince going to Mrs. Lovett.
Yeah.
Can you say?
They're all in the same universe, you guys.
Yeah.
The Sondheim extended universe.
For real. They could probably just do this on cruise ships, man.
Right?
Heck yeah.
Be a really discerning audience, though.
Well, this is delightful. Wow.
Better sing. I'm gonna throw a shoe at you.
Yeah, there's so much going on in that one. That's like a whole medley.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like the backup singers doing anything you say, which is the Sweeney part of By the Sea.
Yeah.
Well, totally. Yeah. That would be so funny to visualize that.
But yeah, I'm really curious, like, because that intro, I remember hearing that da 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, that's, are we gonna do I Want to Dance with Somebody? But then it's just Moments in the Woods.
Well, it certainly falls to me under fair use because they don't use very much of the track at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that small opening.
Yeah.
And the entire piece is transformative enough that it just definitely falls under fair use. So.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it's an homage too, because it has to be intentional. But
Yeah.
Hell, they
it
might have
really
even
works.
asked for permission to like use
Maybe.
the track. You know, who knows?
Yeah. And then I love the first part where they mash up Hello Little Girl with Pretty Lady because they're both predatory songs.
Yeah.
Because in Pacific Overtures, it's these like American sailors like kind of, you know, catcalling a Japanese woman. And then literal Big Bad Wolf chasing down a girl. A Little Red, I mean.
Not any subtlety.
Yeah, and then you
on that
throw
one.
in some Joanna where we get Stalker. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of...
Good old.
It's a good little mix.
Well, what I love about the first three songs, just the first three, is all we've gone through so far, obviously. But like, I just thought they were gonna be doing songs, but they're doing total mashups.
Yeah.
All the first three were pretty amazing medleys.
Yeah.
Well, they're like reimaginings of.
But
the
combining,
pieces,
like you said, combining songs that you never would kind of think could go together. But
Yeah.
that's the challenge, right? And I don't know. This is not what I was expecting. I really
Well,
do.
like, Sondheim, this is the thing, is like, there's at least 4 Sondheim reviews, and there's definitely a lot of Sondheim
this will be
medleys.
another one.
But the thing is that a lot of composers, you can make medleys of their own music because you write in your own style,
Right.
you know? So a lot of your stuff,
Mashing
it's,
up the same composer into.
yeah,
some
it's not
stuff.
that crazy of an idea, and Sondheim
not.
definitely has a style, but I think
Yes.
the element of like adding like the disco-ness to it really makes it really different.
I think that there's something to be said too about like there's probably a lot more, and we kind of touched on it before too, but a lot more of his music that was made in the 70s seems like it would be more easily translatable to the disco style, right?
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Whereas
Exactly.
the stuff in the 80s and maybe before, it doesn't really
No.
feel like it, but when you hear it this way,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, I guess if you're good, you can make anything happen.
Right. Well, and especially because this is all music. I mean, obviously, he didn't write the music for Gypsy or West Side Story, but because those are his lyrics, like toss those in. So those would be the more challenging ones, not even the same composer. But this feels like it's in the spirit of just like fan fiction, you know, like we all love this guy,
Yeah.
we love his music. Let's see what we can do with
I'm
it.
gonna ship these 2 songs together. You say I can't? You think I can't?
Just watch.
Hink and Wasserman prove them wrong. Okay, coming up next is Unworthy of Your Love.
Oh, I love this song.
Yeah, but I think there's some other stuff mashed up in there too.
No!
I seriously doubt it
Surely
just
not,
means-
no.
Surely not. No, it can't be true. All right, let's do it. Unworthy of Your Love.
See, this is not how I expected it to sound at the opening.
With their smug little ski.
Do you know the song?
Because this is not unworthy of your love.
They're two different songs.
They forgot one thing.
The second one I know, I think.
Is it from Passion? I feel like it says Jason Robert Brown or something, but I know it's not.
It's There Won't Be Trumpets for Anyone Can Whistle
Oh.
and what's that song called? It's from Forum. That'll Show Him.
Oh, Forum's another one I don't really know so well.
This is like the most jammy, like, disco
on.
tune that they've done so far.
Yeah, it's like disco ball. You can just picture it.
Right?
Ah, there it is. Thank you.
And see, this song is written to kind of sound like a 70s jam. Since they were both kind of 70s, 80s assassins.
It worked, right,
Hinkley and
yeah.
From.
So it like really works. It lends itself well.
Well, they were attempted assassins.
You would be queen to me now.
Ooh, I like that little chill down.
Baby, I'd die for you.
Maybe I'd die for you, even though I will always know.
Wow, okay, a gospel trill ending.
Okay.
Yeah, so that first part was That'll Show Him from Forum and There Won't Be Trumpets
Right.
from Anyone Can Whistle.
I didn't pick it up really until, like, once you said something, I was like, oh yeah.
No
But
one
then-
does Anyone Can Whistle. That's Sondheim's
Yeah.
biggest flop.
But then once she gets to There Won't Be Trumpets or Bolts of
Yeah,
Lightning, you're
yeah.
like, oh, right, I remember this song.
Yeah, and then That'll Show Him is like the girl Ophelia. She's kind of dumb, so she's like, my revenge is gonna be when I'm with him. I'm gonna be thinking about you, so I'm gonna
That's
kiss him
right.
even harder.
That's right. I
That'll
remember
show
that
him. Yeah. But I like how they did that and they put those together, and then it culminated in Unworthy of Your Love. And in the end, it was straight up like a little like party refrain of all. There was like refrains of That'll Show Him. There Won't Be Trumpets.
Yeah.
Like it was great.
That was, and it was so. I mean, I know I said this before. It was very like Saturday Night Fever, like
Yeah.
Bee Gees, like great driving rhythm.
So
like,
what
I
was
know it's
crazy.
like really fun to dance
No
to.
wonder it's the most listened to.
How
of
many
the tracks.
How many songs were there? Like how many different songs? Unworthy of Your Love.
3 in that
Three
one.
total.
Which ones do you guys like so far? Out of the 4 we've listened to.
They're a Giant Somewhere is my fave.
I don't know. I think Unworthy of Your Love's pretty good. Hello, Pretty Lady. Lovely Moments by the Sea was also
Pretty great.
pretty crazy. I am looking forward to, as I'm looking at the track lists here, and Emily mentioned, It's Hot Up Here in This City on Fire. And
I
that
can't wait for him to hear that. I
That
can't
sounds
wait for
pretty
you guys to hear
dope.
that.
I can't
But our
lie.
next couple are pretty straightforward, so it'll be nice. So next up is Our Time, which is the finale of Merrily We Roll Along, which I love that show.
Very good show.
And I was one of the 3 friends in that, and I did it right after college. It was my first show
Such
I
a
did
great
out of
time to do
college.
that show, too.
It's a great time to do it when you're young, but it'd be really cool to do it now that I'm older because the
Agreed.
show goes backwards in
Yeah.
time, and
You
goes
can kind of
like
do it
20
either
years.
way, but like
Yeah.
you can do it as a young person, like being young and like full
Not
of
knowing
hope
what
and
life is
yeah,
yet.
but then you can also do it like when you're older, having
Yeah.
had life experience and then working backward. Like it's a very interesting show.
Exactly. I love that show.
Oh.
Very like Michael Jackson.
Very pop.
This song already lended itself so well to like
I love it.
sounding disco-y.
It's so optimistic. It just makes me cry every time. I just love how they incorporated the piano. What? It's very like a modern Broadway interpretation of this song. Like if Merrily We Roll Along had been written in 2020,
The way that-
it would be
yeah.
like
The way that they're singing is all
Yeah.
like the 2020
It'd
is.
be
sounds
sprouting tenors, Charlie and
It could be like
Frank.
Pasek and Paul or something.
Yeah.
It sounds the most mainstream of anything I've heard yet.
Yeah.
It still is very, like, obviously the theming is all very still 70s and everything.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
still sounds like, you know, more lyrical than Pascal and Paul to me. Just because I like Sondheim.
Yeah, well, their lyrics would be slightly dumbed down.
Just a little.
Dumbed down to shit.
Pascal
Say
Paul is
that,
fine.
you guys. But it lends itself to disco pretty well.
It does. It really does. But again, it fits because it was written in this time period. You know?
About 1981.
Oh, sorry.
My birthday, November 16th, 1981, 1 year before I was born.
Huh?
I mean, the lyrics are pretty. These aren't normal Sondheim lyrics, really. These are.
No, it's supposed to have a sense of like naivete
Yeah.
to them because it's like these young kids all kind of looking forward to the future,
Yeah, makes
and it
sense.
happens at the end of the show after you've seen kind of what miserable people they all turn out to be.
Right.
Right.
And so it is
So
all
it-
the more.
It's intentional.
It hits
Yeah.
hard. It hits
Yeah.
hard when you hear it, when you see it at the
Yeah.
end, because you're
Well,
like,
there's-
oh my
yeah.
god, they have their whole future ahead of them. Feel the flow, hear what's happening, hear what's happening. Don't you know we're the movers and we're the shapers?
There's always something more when it's a Sondheim show that
Yeah.
you might.
There's,
Yeah.
might not
there's always
catch.
another layer.
Exactly.
That was the first one though that we heard that was its
It's just-
own track, just done in a different style.
Yeah, the next few are like that. So let's move right on. Let's do No One Is Alone.
Well, look at that.
I like that people always mess up the meaning of No One Is Alone. Like people always think No One Is Alone is about like you're not alone.
Yeah,
we're all on
yeah.
the same team.
It's
and
so
it's
true.
it's all about really that your actions have consequences and
Yeah.
that they ripple throughout.
You are
That's
not
why
alone. There are others
Yeah.
in your life that
No
you
one is
affect.
alone. Careful. No one acts alone.
But the truth is, though, in that moment in the show, it is really reassuring for Jack and Little Red, though.
It's a
It
So
is.
even though it's more a realistic approach, but they are comforting them in a way.
Yeah.
it's both though. Because
Yeah.
there's moments in that song where they do say like, you know, kind of don't worry, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right, like the second meaning of the song when they
Yeah.
say careful, no one is alone,
Yeah.
and they start pointing out like that your actions have consequences, like it's like this double-edged sword.
You could get
know?
stepped on by a fucking giant, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I love the beginnings. Just catch me by surprise. Oh, I like that.
Mother cannot guide you.
It's very.
Kidding me?
It's like
Now you're
what is it, Temptations?
This is the lounge
Yeah,
version.
it-
This is the
yeah.
Temptations version.
Yeah.
80s Temptations, not 60s.
Yeah.
You can see the guy with the little microphone there.
I mean, this song is so good. You could almost not fuck up this song if you have good musicians and good singers.
But listen to those little backups. Halfway.
Yeah.
That's very, very Temptations
Yeah.
there, gotta say. It's so amazing how much you can change this song by
Just
doing...
put a drum beat. That's like
Yeah.
mostly what's happening here. And
Yeah.
these little ba-bas.
Yeah, little
'Cause
like
the refrain's
trumpet
there.
players and stuff.
Da-da.
Oh yeah, it's the same violin part.
Yeah.
And there's some unique harmonies, but for the most part, the lyric or the the melody is the same.
Yeah.
And the harmony.
And they added in some more echoes and harmonies.
Mhm. It's also a little slower and groovy.
Yeah. I love that harmony.
The harmony is always
Yeah.
killer.
Gotta love that Sondheim dissonance. You gotta love it.
I think this might be my favorite song he's ever written.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one.
Just remember.
Oh, there's not even like the guitar.
Sounds like I feel like they jumped it. They could have milked that a bit more.
No, it's because they
Yeah, but
like
it's a disco song.
they,
They're trying
like-
to keep it driving.
yeah they like subdivided that part that you would
Yeah.
normally put the
Yeah.
retard on and then
Yeah.
just kept.
I was
Yeah.
missing that
through.
retard.
It's interesting.
Just don't let it go.
So fun with the shows I love too. They're not excessive or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
It's nice.
You know what? I don't like it when people over riff Sondheim because that's not
No.
what he's about.
Nobody should overrate
But a
ever.
little is okay.
Like a little flavor, just a little flavor.
little flavor is
That's-
fine.
In
But-
general, for all music, just A little bit. Don't overdo it.
I mean,
And they didn't put the little tag on at the end. They didn't put "No one is alone." They just ended it with "Your side."
Well, I think if you ever,
Which how it is. That's how it ends in the
if you're
show.
kind of new to Sondheim and you
That's
don't know,
true.
but you've always heard this guy's name and he's a legend and he's a genius and all this stuff. If you want to like a digestible proof of that, this song is the one.
Yeah.
For me. It's just it's because it's very listenable. It's simple. But it's also got all this extra layers to it, like kind of like what you're saying.
you can digest
Yeah.
it a little bit slower and easier than a lot of Sondheim's other work. I think that's probably
Because
true
there's-
of
Into the Woods
Into
is-
the Woods in general.
Yeah, Into the Woods is baby's first Sondheim. It's even
Yeah.
though it was not his first show, but it's
No.
the most accessible for kids,
It's
and it
probably
teaches
the most-
important lessons.
I'll be honest. There's some songs like the opening number for Company drives me nuts at times. I'm just like, this is why people don't like to listen to this guy, because sometimes he just goes insane. And I know that's one of my. Whenever people ask for like a controversial take,
A hot take, we
the
call
hot
it,
take.
honey.
Well, there are clearly times when Sondheim can be a little much at times, but a song like this is kind of the perfect sweet spot. For
And he
anybody
makes
who
that
hasn't heard
joke in
before.
Merrily We Roll Along. He has that character who's like, "There's not a tune you can hum. There's not a tune you go."
He's
bum,
making
bum,
fun,
bum,
of
you know.
course. He's being self-deprecating about
Yeah,
himself.
Sondheim's heard that a lot in his career.
Yeah.
Just write a plain old melody. Dee, 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 dee.
Okay, so the next song is The Miller's Son, and I know they're very proud of this one. So I played Petra when I did Little Night Music, and this is her big song. And she's like one of the best characters to play because she kind of just like hangs around, gets these funny one-liners, like sluts it up, and then she gets like the best song in the show near the end of the show.
Miller's Son is like one of the only ones that I really remember from Little Night Music.
Yeah.
Like when I think of the show, you're like, oh yeah, Miller's Son.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
much about
Miller's Son ends with this note that's very low. It goes, "I shall marry the Miller's son." So I just want you to keep that in mind when you listen to this version of it.
So far, same.
I shall marry the miller's son.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as the normal
Yeah,
one so far.
There hasn't been anything yet.
Yeah,
God, it's such a good melody.
yeah.
Hey, I'm all in with cellos. Anytime you bring a cello in, I'm game.
It's haunting.
It's a great.
There's a lot of cellos in a Little Night Music, but let's listen here.
We'll go dance.
Oh, wow. I don't know why I wasn't expecting that.
There it is.
Oh, wow.
See, it's just the same song with like a beat.
This song lends itself perfectly, in my opinion. Like this, because I know this song.
I would agree with you here. The way that it's structured somehow, like, is perfect for this.
Yeah, and when she has, like, the lyrics are almost accentuated because of it.
And just the dancing.
Like it's almost like it was made to be this way.
Yeah, and then, like, the little...
And it makes it so much more fun, the little pattery flavor.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, yeah.
Ooh, it's good.
And the bosoms that droop and go dry in the meanwhile.
The Flourish.
I like that one. It's all about, like, living, like, party life, too. Like,
Yeah, she's like, "I'm gonna date this guy, I'm gonna
Yeah.
date this guy, I'm gonna date this guy. Girls gotta celebrate what passes by."
Friday nights with him all in
That part almost sounded like a section of a James Bond theme.
Yeah!
Wow.
Oh, that's a good call. There's a lot of that in here too. Adding a brass section does so much for your song.
And it's that very disco feel, right?
Yeah. Amazing. I know it's expensive, but it's worth it.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm getting, like, goosebumps.
Here we go.
Whoa! She went for it at the end there.
That was the octave, like 2 octaves up from the note she's supposed to hit.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, hold on, I wanna see what that was.
Wowzers.
Well, that's like the standard thing, especially in auditions
Hey,
when
but
you
I
got
gotta mix
16
that.
bars. Got 16 bars to show them what you can do. Just take that last note up somewhere. And
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
F.
F. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Eiley, I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name, but Eiley Venno. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They've been having a thing where they've done a challenge, I think, on like TikTok or Instagram or something, where they're like, "Can you do the Miller's Son ending challenge?" I don't think I can. I don't know if I can do it.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay, so our next one. This is the one I think you two might hate.
What, Artists Are Bizarre?
It's called Artists Are Bizarre.
Now, I'm going to guess Sunday is involved.
Well, Artists Are Bizarre, but there's a lot of other... It's like a mashup of all the weird Sondheim things that he makes the chorus do that are not musical.
Oh.
I mean, like, they're... how do I put it? Like, atonal, practically like atonal, and stuff where characters layer on top of each other, and there's like a lot of stuff going on that's meant to represent like chaos.
Like the interstitials and like Company and whatnot, like the little like intermediary segments and whatnot.
Yeah, some other stuff too.
Okay.
But that's that part in Sunday where Dot goes, "Artists are bizarre, fixed cold. That's you, George. You're bizarre, fixed cold. I like that in a man, fixed cold." It's like very weird.
That's the kind of shit that when people listen to that, they're like, I don't like
And that's what we talk.
So let's try out Artists Are Bizarre.
Oh, this is sensational.
Do you know what this is?
Oh, I think he really likes me.
It's this sequence in Company where he's having sex with April.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Which already kind of sounds 70s anyway, because this is pretty much what it sounds like, yeah.
Artists are bizarre, fixed, cold. That's you, George, you're bizarre, fixed, cold.
I like it.
Man,
it's so weird.
Cold, God.
Yeah.
It lends itself though. It's bombastic.
Well, and the intervals that they use in that sequence are very 70s. When you set it against this kind of music, geez.
Yeah.
Get like a plush couch and a cocktail glass.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very like a vibe.
Yeah. That was like a psycho thing.
Do you know what that is? Sweeney.
Oh. Yes. Again, when it's set against this, it's like hard to tell what's happening sometimes.
Yeah.
Joanna's back.
But I hear it now, yeah.
Do you know what this is?
Is it George?
This is from Anyone Can Whistle.
I know that
It's
song.
these crazy people.
It's impressive to me that they even ran with the idea of taking these weird segments and make it into a song only using all the weird segments.
Yeah, it just feels like you're on a train and you're out of control, man. This train is off the tracks.
Wait. This entire... I just realized what this entire song was making me think of as we were reaching the end of it. Maybe about halfway through, I realized, as it's starting to speed up and go more insane, oh, this is Pink Elephants on Parade. This is Pink Elephants on Parade.
Well, they did the letter from Sweeney Todd, where Sweeney is writing a letter, most honorable Judge Turpin, most honorable, and it's the chorus kind of singing what he's writing.
Right.
And then that ending part is from Anyone Can Whistle, because Anyone Can Whistle has this whole thing where there's a nurse character and she works for a madhouse, and all the people in the madhouse, that's why they're kind of all the opposite. I don't know. There's a scene where they're all running. There's a scene where they're all running loose and they have to find them. So there's this sequence in Company where Bobby's hooking up with April, and they do this metaphor of this elevator going up and down and play that kind of groovy music there.
Loving an elevator.
They do not play that song.
Aerosmith. Now that would be some good music for a musical.
God.
I'm sure they'd never agree to that.
No.
But, I would know Company better, but I was cast in Company, and then I ended up not doing it because I dropped out to do a show with Emily.
Yeah, and the rest is history.
So I never, yeah, that kind of. But I never really got to know that show the way I should.
Yeah, the next one is Color and Light, which is another song
Sunday.
from Sunday.
Is this
interesting.
George?
Red,
Yeah,
orange, orange, pick a blue,
Red does
red,
this
orange,
one.
blue, green,
George
circle
does
on the
one.
diagonal,
The other reason why people like...
yellow comma, num 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 num.
I love Sondheim, but I can't take those songs.
Order.
Whoa.
You know
The
this.
echo.
Yeah.
Design.
A little more red.
This is just making me think of the Halloween theme.
Ah,
The way that the pace of this with the way that it is, like,
yeah.
More blue.
this almost sounds like we could record a movie.
Wait, I love this. This is so good. Like, this song is decidedly, like, unmusical, undancey in the show.
True.
So what a challenge.
Look over there, miss. That's done with green, conjoined with orange. No, yellow comma, num, 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 num. Sunday.
I just love the bright chords they have in this.
Wow, that's a really layered chord right there.
Yeah.
Like every note. It takes a lot of skill to arrange like this.
Yeah.
The call and response is wonderful.
Well, and adding in all the vocal backup stuff, because it's usually just a solo.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the call and response. Like,
Yeah.
you know, then like white.
Yeah. I like how it's like, ha.
Like the hard A, yeah.
Okay, so
Wow.
we're going into the next one. So yeah, so that was basically just color and light. So the past few, yeah, it was, you know, nothing else matched up with it.
Yeah, but like, how different could you get from color and light, like the
Yeah,
original version?
yeah, very different.
It's
Yeah,
from Sunday in the Park with George, right?
Yeah.
I remember like bits and pieces because it's very famous when he's.
it's when
all
he's on the
patter.
screen. Yeah,
And it reminds me of like, this is kind of a strange departure, but in Ratatouille when she gets mad at him for improvising the recipe, it reminds me of that. Like, it's Sondheim's job to improvise, not the actors, because the actors, you gotta burn those lyrics into your head. What he does is like his shit, like with that
It's so
song,
intricate.
it's just unlike anything you've ever heard before, even in that show in Sunday in the Park with George. It's like unlike anything I'd ever heard.
It is a really like weird show in
Well,
a couple of ways. I
Yeah,
will
his
say,
goal,
yeah.
and he's talked about this, is his goal was to make the music sound like pointillism, which is why there's so much staccato, which is why there's so many sharp things, and then once things come together, that's when it becomes kind of
you only
harmony.
realize like what the show is trying to say
Yes.
once you see the whole thing for what it is.
What
Yeah,
it
Well,
is.
I just think like when people
Wow, I
say,
hadn't
you know,
thought of that.
it was really hard.
Pulitzer Prize-winning musical.
Well, people say it's really hard to do Sondheim, and what they mean
Yeah.
is you have to really be well rehearsed. You can't be under rehearsed and do it. You know, for that reason, you got to
You
burn
shouldn't
it
be
in your
under
brain.
rehearsed doing any show.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if it's Frank Wildhorn, you can pull it off. But I love that song because it's an example of an intense, like, the performer has to be intensely connected.
It's
to
a
the
difficult song.
for it to work.
It's a difficult song to pull off. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of patter. There's a lot of weird intervals going on.
Yeah.
You have to act
Every
the
note
shit
is important,
out
too.
of it
Yeah.
when we do it on stage.
Yeah.
Like Mandy Patinkin's famous performance of George in that scene. Like he's.
If
you
only
can
he was
see
in this
him.
record. Why
You
isn't he
can
in
see
this?
him going insane in it.
Red, orange, red, orange, pick up blue, pick up red, pick up orange from the blue, green, circle on the violet, diagonal, diagonal, no, yellow comma, num, 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 num.
Okay, so this next one is the one that I think is going to melt your mind a little bit. So this is called It's Hot Up Here in This City on Fire. And I think I just need you guys to listen to it. So let's listen to it. We know what these two songs are though, right?
Yeah, Sunday in the Park with George is Hot Up Here, and then City on Fire is from Sweeney Todd.
Yes.
It's hot up here.
Are you kidding me?
What?
It's hot up here.
I was not expecting this.
And it's monotonous.
I want my glasses. City on fire.
It's almost Oingo Boingo-y.
This is not my good
It's
profile.
ballroom.
It's hot up here. Hate this
Oh!
RuPaul all the way.
Oh!
City on fire.
See, I told you they were off.
I put on rouge today.
It's hot
I put on rouge today.
It's hot up here.
It's so funny because in Sweeney, this song is really serious.
Yeah, it's
and
ominous
this-
and scary,
and
and it's
this
his
one-
other song with lunatics running in the street.
And this version of it's very upbeat.
This is like a club like remix.
Uh-huh.
Fire. Oh my god.
I just love how they're saying some of these lines. I hate these people.
It's like a gay club
I put on
anthem.
Rocher too. It just reminds me of my days in WeHo, man.
I was gonna say I could hear this in like being played in like a gay club somewhere.
You expect the drop.
Yeah.
Where's the drop?
It's coming up.
Yeah.
You can layer Angel. Take me.
Yeah.
I know, that's what yeah.
If this has never been done on Drag Race during like a
It
lip
has
sync,
to now,
like
right?
a lip sync
It
battle,
has to.
someone has to do it. Like
It's your fault.
this even sounds like some of those albums that the drag queens from Drag Race like come up with later on. You know. Didn't that sound a little bit like Alaska Thunderfuck was singing that?
Yes, it did.
Just a little bit, like.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, like you had to have at least one track like that on this album.
Look who's talking, sitting in the shade.
I mean, that's really fun.
Just all those interjections they have in "It's Hot Up Here." Yeah,
I
at
put
least
on
you
Rouge.
have a parasol. Yeah,
Yeah.
I put on Rouge.
They're
Thing.
also catty, yeah.
Yeah, and all those lines are so catty in the song. And then when they got to "City on Fire," "Rats in the Street," and the
Then it's like time to like
oh my god,
throw it down in the club.
I'm throwing down in the club. Remember going to the club, y'all?
Well, now we do virtual clubs. So.
Now we do virtual dance parties.
There's so much more.
Like we're not in our late 30s, early 40s, and you know, not exactly clubbers anymore. We only have 2 left, and this is the title track.
titular song.
Yes, the title track. So let's listen to "Losing My Mind" from Follies. Do either of you guys know Follies? You know some songs from it.
I know "Losing My Mind," but only not really because of Follies, because I've never seen Follies.
Yeah.
I've only seen musical reviews and heard musical reviews of Sondheim,
Yeah.
which this song is often included in. I mean, that's same with The Miller's Son. Like I've not seen Little Light Music, but I know it from putting it together. I think.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. So I know stuff from Side by Sondheim, but I'd never done the show.
Some organ. It's interesting.
Oh, this is from Anyone Can Whistle.
Is it like in the madhouse kind of thing or whatever?
Yeah.
It's very like scary.
It's like all his crazy songs.
Got it.
The sun comes up. I think about you. The coffee cup. I think about you. I want you so. It's like I'm losing my mind.
This kind of lends itself to like feeling like a disco song too. Right?
Yeah.
Totally. This is like the ending of. I guess it wouldn't be the ending of one of those disaster movies, but in those somewhere in the disaster movie at the beginning.
Yeah.
When they're all having fun before the ship goes
Right,
down.
right. This also feels like not Temptations for this one, but like a trio like girl group kind of
Yeah.
like 70s song.
Like Pointer Sisters.
Pointer Sisters, thank you. Did they have like a full orchestra?
They clearly.
Oh yeah.
spent a lot
I mean,
of
they
money.
had
It certainly seems like they must have.
This is top of the line production, man, for like a record like this.
I think they crowdsourced it.
Really?
Yeah, crowdfunded
Well, I mean,
it. Sorry, I
wow.
think they crowdfunded it. Yeah.
Good for them.
Well, there's
Stuff's
all
hard
these
to do.
session players in New York, you know, just a couple rehearsals, they can nail it. you know?
Oh, sure, but they're expensive, you know.
I like that
Very
harmony.
expensive.
There's no one wrong. It's like I'm losing my mind.
You like that?
Oh, it's just really, yeah. It was like chilling.
I really like that.
You're a moving, deeply maladjusted, never to be trusted, crazy person. Yourself. Or am I losing my mind?
What a good way to end
Yay!
that was a good little, yeah.
Well, and now you have to listen to the mega mix because it is not a disco album unless you get a mega mix with the greatest hits from the whole album.
Right. And
All right.
you can't do Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat without the mega mix because then it'll only be like an hour long. The mega mix is like 25 minutes of that show.
But the mega mix does feature, I think, "Take Me to the World," which we haven't heard yet. And "Take Me to the World" is from Evening Primrose.
Oh, another one that I'm not very familiar with.
When the pandemic hit, we were all singing Take Me to the World. In fact, that Sondheim concert they did, I think, was called Take Me to the World. And Raul Esparza sang it. Because it's like, I want to go outside.
Is it a one act? Is it like a one act show?
Evening Primrose is not a stage show. There was this TV series in the 60s. I don't remember what it's called, but their goal was to have a new short musical for every single episode. So they got Stephen Sondheim to write one starring Anthony Perkins and
from Psycho
and Liesl from The Sound of Music, Charmian Carr. It's about people who live in a department store. And so Anthony Perkins decides he wants to live in a department store, and there's a whole secret society there in the department store, and Charmian Carr is there, and she's been raised there since she was a little girl, so she doesn't know a world outside of that. And then they decide to leave. But the thing is, when people try to leave, they get turned into mannequins.
And he sings about the sky, right?
No, she does. She sings "I Remember" because she was a little kid when she came in there. So.
And if you're looking for a CD of this, they did a double CD in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's the one everyone has.
Everyone has that.
Yeah,
one?
with the frogs.
The frogs, which Nathan Lane was in.
Yeah.
And that was a one act.
Well, The Frogs was a show that he wrote for specifically for the kids at Yale to do in their swimming pool.
Yep.
And Meryl Streep was in it. And then they eventually adapted it into a Broadway version, which had Nathan Lane, which I saw, and it was not very good.
I can't imagine that a show that relies upon a very obvious gimmick is going to be very good when you remove said gimmick.
Yeah, and The Frogs is an Aristophanes play. It's an old Greek play. I think it's Aristophanes. He was always like the birds, the frogs, the this, the that. So he adapted it and turned it into that. And then, then Nathan Lane wanted to make it into a musical, and he did at Lincoln Center, and it was not very good. Let's finish it up with a mega mix, baby. So it's themes of the songs we've already heard, cut together with Take Me to the World, with like a disco version of Take Me to the World. All right, here we go.
It's like doing a mega mix when every song from your show is also a mega mix.
Yeah.
Seriously. Take Me to the World?
Yeah.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah.
We shall have the world to keep. Such a lovely world will we. We shall have the world forever, forever.
That sounds like right.
That layering right there definitely sounds
very 35.
Oh.
You have to end it with
And they ended with I Wish!
That gave me some goosebumps. Was that the only time I Wish was in the whole record?
I think so.
Do you boys see why I've been so obsessed with this album?
Oh, you see? Yes, this is pretty cool.
Do you see?
One of the things that, I mean, obviously, really impressive orchestrations, great instrumentation. They got all the best in New York. Obviously, they got a lot of great people for this. But I love how they kept it tight. None of the songs are much more than 3 or 4 minutes. But for this, I could see somebody getting carried away and like having 6-minute songs, 7-minute songs.
Oh, I could, yeah.
So I'm glad. I like that they like that must have been a conscious choice. Like, let's keep it tight. If something isn't working, let's just drop it and move in something else with the orchestration. And they kept them all short.
It also makes sense with the theming, of course, because if you're theming everything like it's a disco fever dream, as the subtitle says, like you're gonna keep the rhythms driving, and it's supposed to be sort of a dance party album. Like, you expect to hear this in a disco. Like, it makes sense. You want to dance to every song. Like,
and you could tell they obviously have a great knowledge of Sondheim, but whether they must have had a knowledge and appreciation of disco music, but they obviously brought together amazing arrangers and orchestrators to kind of help put this all together. But I mean, kudos to Joshua Hink and Scott Wasserman, because this is a truly amazing feat. Did you have a favorite song? What was your favorite?
I had 3 that I loved the most. There are Giants Somewhere, No One Is Alone, and The Miller's Son. I really love The Miller's Son. That was one where it was basically just that song. Yeah. But it was done in a way that I love that song already, but to hear it just kind of stand alone like that in a new way.
Yeah.
I dug that.
What about you, Codes?
I really liked It's Hot Up Here in the City on Fire.
It's hot up here.
I wasn't really expecting that, but then when it went into this like drag race, like voguing, like number where they're just like sassy, like it just sounded like sassy drag queens, and I was like, this is brilliant, and I love this. I also really like Color and Light. It was really weird, but it was interesting. Probably Unworthy of Your Love, but I have a soft spot for that song.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Opening Doors. I think it really sets a tone for the beginning of the album. Like, you know what you're in for. You hear all these themes right off the bat. You hear that sampled Chipsian. And I just love
Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, and I just love Opening Doors. I just think that's a great song. I also love Unworthy of Your Love. And I love the Pretty Lady, Lovely Moments by the Sea, like, huge medley. There's just so much in that.
It's hard to choose, like, real, like, favorites from it, because all of the songs are done so well to their, like, you know, doing credence to their source material, but also, like, being transformative and interesting and doing new stuff with it.
Well, that's why it was such a bold risk to make this album. I mean, like I was kind of piecing together from what you said. It started as a cabaret in New York, as many things do. People who love Sondheim, people with immense talent, you know, and then, let's make a record. Hey, let's do it right and let's really crush it. And I feel like they did. And adding Fever Dream to the title is pretty great.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever heard
I feel
that
like
before.
you'd have to be in a fever dream to feel like that the Sondheim disco album could work, but it works. So.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if there's people that you still pitch records to. This was probably like 30 or 40 years ago when there were record studios, when there were still like labels where you'd say, "Listen, I got this idea. We're gonna mash up Sondheim," and they'd be,
you don't have to do that anymore. That's about this amazing thing about the world we live in now, is that you don't have to ask for permission.
You can just make your own shit now and just produce it.
So if you're a Sondheim aficionado or a musical theater person, I highly recommend this. I really don't know how this would land for people who don't know Sondheim.
Yeah, it is definitely sort of like it's a fan project.
Well, I think the straightforward songs would be fine, like Miller's Son, No One Is Alone, stuff like that. The mashups might get a little much, but who knows? Like, maybe you would like them. I don't know.
I feel like you could totally get away with playing this entire album, maybe on shuffle, maybe just from the beginning to the end, in a gay club. Like, you could totally get away with playing this, and everybody would be like, yeah, this is a jam. Like, not even if they didn't know what Sondheim was.
Exactly.
I think you could play it at any club, too. Be just, like, on shuffle, even if at your holiday party, you'd be like, what's this?
Yeah,
this is nuts.
That's true.
And I can attest...
It sounds so gay clubby.
Yeah, and I can attest to the fact that since I've been listening to it since it came out, basically this whole pandemic, it's great for just dancing in your house.
Put it on while you're cleaning.
Yeah, exactly. When you're cleaning, it's great.
I will say, like, it is cool if you do have a decent knowledge of his songs. There's so many, like, Easter egg drop-ins that kind of take you by surprise. That is the coolest part. And if it is a person who hasn't listened to Sondheim before, then they'll recognize these later when they start to listen to his stuff.
But what are you doing being a musical theater person who doesn't listen to Sondheim?
What are you doing? What do you talk?
All right, well, thanks, guys, for doing this. And so go check out Losing My Mind, a Sondheim disco fever dream.
It's really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Turkey Day.
Bye-bye, everybody.